Hi everybody, welcome to again to the third track about how we can apply artificial intelligence techniques in the context of container port logistics. My name is Anibal Azevedo, and now I'm gonna present some code how we can code the simulator, the port simulator, very simplified simulator. Okay, so first we have to define things here before implementation. We have to see how we can apply the transportation matrix concept. If you don't didn't see the previously video, see a card somewhere here to see the previously video. It's I will give a general idea of the whole project. So now I'll show the transportation matrix. This transportation matrix defines how many containers which destination are next ports will be loaded in the container ship. But we also have to account another thing in your simulation. When we are performing loading and unloading rules, sometimes when we perform unloading operation, can happen something like this. So imagine that we are in port 3 and all yellow containers should be unloaded. But also this orange container with destination is port 4 should be loaded to load this yellow container that are below of orange container. So first things we have to reload this orange container, and this situation happens more frequently than we think. So what we should do, we have to create a function in the Python code that manage this situation. So we have to combine the containers that we have to reload and also with the containers that we should load, that which origin is this port in the port that ship is already located. So let's start the code now. Now we can start the code. Here we have previously tracks codes we already have activated. So I clicked here and I executed this code to load container ship class and also all unloading rules functions that we have defined, and we can click here and they all execute and put in the memory of this notebook. Okay, so now we can first start with this code. Remember that in the description of this video we have all this code, and we're gonna just implement or explain the necessary code to understand which feature, the new feature that we're gonna add to create the simulator. Okay, so what we are doing here, we're gonna verify if all this code is working. So let's start using this. So see that we use the container ship class definition, and also we use this set cargo map ship. We are connecting at Google Colab. It's I was waiting. I don't know why it's starting to wait too much, but what is important here, we begin with a certain structure, and as you can see here we have the containers that are already in the ship in the first bay and the second bay, and this is the container ship starting on the first port. Okay, so once we have created this ship, we can create now a transportation matrix. So a transportation matrix that we're gonna create will be something like this. So sorry, I have to give a more zoom here, make this more clear. Okay, so the first line of this container matrix will be the number of containers that will be loaded in the first port. So two containers which destination port 2, two containers which destination port 3, and so on. So now this second line will be the number of containers that will be loaded in the second port, and finally how many containers and their respective destinations will be loaded in port 3. So now we're gonna transform this in a NP array, because when we employ NP array, it's much more easy to deal with this data. So now we have defined this T, and we have to define, we are in the port 1, and in port 1 we're gonna use the an auxiliary list, and this list will receive the combine T and P. This function will be a function that cares about, okay, we are in this port, we have to load the cargo in this port, but also have some containers that are have been unloaded, but must be reloaded. Okay, so how will be this function? We're gonna define it now, and remember that in the description of this video we have this, the definition of this. So I have this combine, combine. We are creating the function. We have the auxiliary list, the tree matrix, transportation matrix, and also the port number P, and for E in range of length, and T P minus 1. Okay, so I have this, and finally I have range P minus 1. So what are these two loops? They will I will show you that using this notation, the first loop is just to take all elements in a certain line. So we use T minus 1. So this is the line of the transportation matrix, and we get all elements in a certain line. In this line will be the line P minus 1 index. Okay, so for each element in this line, so see that each element in this line, we're gonna take the column I column, and for each column we're gonna add the number of this column plus 2 times. So remember this. We're gonna take, for example, imagine this element 2. We're gonna put 2 containers, which destination is port 2. This will be more clear when we apply this and saw the result and see the result. So let's see. Okay, I forgot to put the right symbol here. Okay, so combine. Okay, so it's missing this list. Okay, now I believe that we will work correctly. They don't print this. I should print this. Let's use print. No matter. Okay, so this list is empty, but should be not empty since we have some containers at this port that should be loaded. Let's check again if we're doing the right thing here. Okay, so this is correct. This is correct. Okay. And this command line is correct. Okay. We start this empty. Okay. Let's see if this is working correctly. Sometimes we have strange things in programming, but we should detect what's happening. Okay, so this is the number, the right number. So they start with this. Okay. So okay, people, I got what I'm doing wrong here. I forgot to make one important comment here, and this important comment is return. We should return what the modifications that we made in this list. Okay, so now we return this modification. As you can see here, we have a list with two elements corresponding to two containers with which destination is port 2, two containers which destination is port 3, and one container which destination is port 4 and 5. Okay, so we can also change this and put 0 here and put 1 and 0 here. So I believe that most important thing here is to understand what is the importance of this new function, because we're gonna combine what we have here previously unloaded containers that should be reloaded in the container ship will be in this list, and we're gonna combine these previously unloaded containers with the containers that should be loaded in port in this port at this port, okay, which the origin is this actual port 1. So I hope you do this class interesting and helpful to understand what we're gonna do to create the simulator, the port simulator, a very simplified but very useful port simulator. So in the next class, we're gonna test some operations with this. No, we can perform some tests here. Will be interesting. So let's start now. Sorry, people, I changed my idea because we already have all things ready to test. So imagine now that we have some cargo to load on port 1. So we're gonna show how many containers we should load. Only we didn't unload anything here, and we're gonna apply also loading cargo on port 1. This is the number of movements after we perform the loading. Operation. So see that we perform the load operation using this container ship object and the list with containers, okay? And finally, we can print the number of movements. Okay, we can draw, after performing this operation, the situation of this container ship. We can also perform an unloading operation to see what happens. But before this, let's check out if this works, okay? I don't know, the Google Club is taking too much time. Okay, already done. Okay, so now as you can see here, we have the initial container ship with some containers. We should load more cargo on this ship. We already have some empty spaces, okay? But as you can see here, some places will be unordered stacks. This stacks not put in the right order, or this stack, okay? So when we arrive at port 3 or port 2, we're gonna have some problem, as you can see here. So we can test now what happens if we arrive at port 2. You can write p equals 2 and print. Okay, we have finally arrived at port 2, and we have to unload cargo from ship, container ship. And finally, we have to unload CS1P. Print. We should print and move. Okay. We also should print cargo from ship that we unloaded but must be reloaded. And this cargo is described in this list vec. Okay, so we should draw the ship. And finally, after this, let's do it. So now, what's the situation? We are in the port 1, we loaded the cargo, and after load the cargo, we move it to the port 2, and finally unload some cargo, because when we arrive at port 2, we have some cargo to unload, the cargo in purple color. So we have to unload cargo on port 2. Okay, we have unloaded all purple containers, but at this stack we have to move the pink container 4, which destination 44, and this container which destination is port 3. So it's what we have to reload these two containers, and the number of movements that we perform to this are 10. Okay, so we are applying a rule that we move just the necessary. So we have to move all containers and the blocking containers that which destination port 2. So just to finish this, what happens if we apply the combine function here? If we apply the combine function, we have this. And let's print this list. Okay, so let's check out what happens. So I don't know why it's taking this time, because be fast, it's not working fast. I don't know why. Normally it's very fast. Okay, so this is the final containers that I should load to the container ship. We can see here that we have containers, these two containers that have been unloaded because they are blocking containers, and these other containers are from the destination matrix, transportation matrix, and we can see here two containers which destination is port 3 and one container which destination is port 4, and this is what appears here, correctly appears here. So with this important thing, we're gonna use to perform correctly all the simulations. So without this important function, we're gonna miss all these containers that should be reloaded. In the next class, I will explain how we can use this code that we made here So instead of doing, okay, now we are in port one, what we should do in this port, we are in port two, what we should do at this port. So instead of doing this port by port, we can perform this in all ports, okay? Not in just one port, or one port is right, another port right. So we're gonna define how we can use a kind of loop and automation performed automatically in all ports. This unloading and loading rules, unloading and loading operations. Okay? So thank you for your attention. I hope you just find it useful and interesting. And the next class, we're gonna expand your capacity by using many ports in a very short code. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next class. Bye.